They could put in even as much as 10 million today. Tell me, Esther, go and buy airtime. We'll come for it in the evening.
10 million.
Oh, yes, I can tell you that.
There's a very big difference between that and someone who wants to invest in that business for conversation's sake. And then they want to borrow money from a bank, go buy the phones, sell the phones so that they can pay back the money.
No, let me tell you.
Our conversation with Dr. Esther Muchemi is partly inspired by a very simple question. Is there anything like clean money?
Let me even make it more complicated for you. Hope is not a winning strategy.
Dr. Esther Muchemi is a seasoned entrepreneur with interests in the hospitality industry, real estate, and most recognizably in telecommunications.
You enter in the market where I believe it's around the time where a SIM card was going for 3,000.
2,500. Or did it get to 3? 2,500, I think.
And how do you get to a place where someone can give you 10 million, then they come for it?
Dr. Esther Muchemi is also a published author, and hopefully by the end of this conversation, we will know the truth about the step-by-step processes of wealth creation that everyone talks about.
At times, or all the time, let me say that, the motive of your heart is very important. Even when you ask.
If I'm getting you correctly, ile ya Mungu akinipea pesa, Nairobi itanitambua.
You know, Kingori, spiritually that is very deep.
Please, you'll allow me to quote some of the things that I've seen personally. One of my favorites is, if you are working for food to feed your family, build a house, and perhaps buy a car, why should God entrust you with more than you need, right? Please break that down for us.
Dr. Kingori, I think that is so very true. And I'll repeat it again on camera with no fear of contradiction. That if you're just working for your stomach to drive a good car, honestly, life is much more than that. You are put in this earth, in this world, to be able to help other people as well. And this is what I believe. The more you are able to give back to the society, because it's like you're in partnership with God. It is like you're confirming to Him in a way that He can trust you to make the world a better place. And so the more you put effort and you deliver to Him who is your maker, the more He is able to trust you and give you a lot more. Look at it this way. Even as human beings, for example, you have two workers. Who do you tend to trust and to give more responsibility? It is that person who delivers almost to perfection, who listens to you, who cares and delivers not only to him, but to the other people and to the company at large. It's the same principle that to them, much is given, to them, much is expected. So the more you get, the more is expected of you. And the more is expected of you, the more the one who demands from you will give you more resources so that you can fulfill not only your purpose, but his purpose. That's a principle.
Then where do people go wrong? Because we have people who pray thoroughly. Pray thoroughly, like serious prayers. We have even people who live in church, right? But they don't seem to get those blessings. Are they, you could work, you could be the most diligent, but that still seems like it's not a guarantee.
God, you have introduced the issue of prayer.
Because we tie it to, there's somewhere in this book that I actually wrote in my notes, where watu people pray the wrong way, right? But you've said you trust God, and God also trusts you based on like to whom much is given, much is expected, right? Yes. There are people who give everything, but still.
I love that conversation. First of all, I'm a woman of faith. So whenever I will say, I am coming from a position that I believe in God and a woman of faith, and I believe in prayer. But I'm also the same person who will say this, that First of all, faith without action is dead. You cannot just be faithing there and there is no action. It is dead. You need to action your faith, and the results need to be seen for your faith to be confirmed. It is a faith as far as our eyes are concerned. Tell you what, for example, people will say, and Isaac planted in a dry season, and he harvested a hundredfold. Have you ever wondered, he planted, was that prayer or an action?
Action.
But extend your imagination even further. Probably he also watered the plants. I'm asking, you get what I mean? So I'm one of those people who believe that the spiritual aspect of your life and the practical part of your life must meet for a miracle to happen. And yet, I believe in miracles as recorded. But I don't know how much you want us to go that spiritual aspect of it.
You just go
because when Jesus Christ, let's go that way, when he fed the 5,000, there was a need to feed them that particular moment. Because they were with him for 3 days, and even long, they were, let's call them days. And so the people were hungry. And so he needed to do for them that particular moment to save the situation that day. And after that, where did they go? They went back to their farms to work and to feed themselves. So there is a situation where there is this miracle to solve this problem now. But more, the common life is, yes, pray, work, put in hours, put in actions, and then prosperity, real prosperity will follow you.
Real prosperity will follow you.
Yes, not the ones.
I'll take a mental note.
Yes.
I'll take a mental note.
Yes.
Turudi nyuma kidogo.
Turudi.
Do you remember yourself at a moment where you had a different definition of, say, financial freedom for context? Like, I don't want to just work to buy a car and to own a home and be comfortable. But at that point, you don't have it. Do you remember yourself without anything you have now?
I wouldn't say that I remember the moment that I didn't have. Let me tell you why. I am the sort of person who sets up my goals from where I want to be, not from where I am now. Let me explain. When I love cars, let's take that as an example.
As an example, yes.
In fact, I usually say it's the only luxury I have in my life, extravagances maybe I have in my life, and that I can't explain. So I even tell people, please excuse me, because sometimes it must be seen, it could be seen like it's contradicting what I believe in, and so sometimes I say, please allow me for that one. So, for example, during those very, very, very early ages, when all my colleagues and friends were driving, you know those cars that were called Toyota Corolla? Those ones.
Yes.
Those many years ago.
I remember.
Or Y120 or something like that.
The 100 and the E91.
Yeah, those ones.
Yes.
Me, I told myself I will not drive that one.
This is in 1998 is when they started popping.
Those years.
Yes.
And yet, my finances, to be honest, in no ways showed and would confirm that's the car I should be driving. So, for argument's sake, I said I want my first car to be a 504.
Peugeot.
Yes.
Did I even pronounce that correctly?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
You get. So what then do I do so that you can understand? I know my goal is to drive a 504. My goal is to drive a 405. My goal is to drive a Mercedes. My goal is to drive whatever car I'm driving today. It needs money and lots of money. So if you want a Mercedes Benz at that particular moment and your finances are just that you can afford a 100,000, so what do? You say and you set your mind, I want to drive a Mercedes by the 2 years down the line. So what do I do?
Wadau, a quick interruption kabla tuendelee na story mazi. Najua inakatizia sana. Kat story imeshika. Toa kichwa hapo. Relax. This is important. Please allow me a few seconds to tell you something about our partners who, apart from helping us make this possible, like quality good vibes, they also have value they will wish to offer you. In this case, allow me to introduce you to Pet Mall Shelters. Unataka kununua shamba? Uko na budget ya between 750,000 na 2.2 million na unataka mahali karibu na Nairobi. You want to deal with a reputable company. I encourage you to check out Pet Mall Shelters Limited. Wako located Kikuyu. They have a few projects that you may be interested in. Wako na Nawiri Gardens, iko phase 9 sai. Wako na Zuri Estate iko phase 2. Phase 1 is sold out. Wako na Prosperity Gardens and the plots are strategically placed near water and electricity and the beacons are clearly marked, and most importantly, the title deeds are ready. And here's more good news. When you purchase land or when you get into an engagement with Pet Mall Shelters, they have a flexible payment plan of up to 12 months. Pet Mall Shelters Limited is an award-winning land selling company. So if this falls in your alley, if your budget inachezea hapo 750,000 to 2.2 million, I encourage you, check out Pet Mall Shelters. They have something for you. The contact details ndio tumewekea hapa kwa the screen.
So if you want a Mercedes Benz at that particular moment and your finances are just that you can afford a 100,000, so what do? You say and you set your mind, I want to drive a Mercedes by the 2 years down the line. So what do? It doesn't come from up there. It comes from you working hard, getting the money, and then going to a showroom or wherever you go and buy the car. So what do? You strategize how you are going to put in hours, how you are to learn your career if you are a career person, how you are going to work hard so that you get promoted, how you are going to invest in that business and sacrifice many hours so that you can make the millions that will allow you to drive that Mercedes Benz. This is what I tell the young people today. For argument's sake and with due respect and honor, you are living in, and with due respect, you are living in Mathare, for example. If you don't allow your mind to imagine and to think you will get out of Mathare, you'll be born in Mathare, you live in Mathare, you will marry in Mathare, your children will go in Mathare school, and then what? Can you just imagine, you starting to imagine that, yes, I've been born here, and nobody chooses where they are born, but you can determine where you want to be at the end of the day. So what do? You start in Mathare, you start now thinking the next place I want to be in Buruburu. So if you want to be in Buruburu, the rent is 3 times that one of Mathare, for argument's sake. If you want to be in Lavington, it will be 10 times that one of Buruburu, and South B, etc. So for me, I have trained my mind over the years, and it's not that I sat down and trained, it's just little by little, you train your mind, maybe what you told me, you read, you observe people, and then you decide, I want to be here, so let me work towards here. It's all about the efforts you want to put, the sacrifices you want to put, that will actually make you get to where you want to be. That's the way I look at things. Therefore, I operate from a position of contentment, yet I'm very ambitious. Because again, what messes people to the extent that it even takes them to a depression of some sort is when you are imagining this utopia and you're operating from a place of such a vacuum inside you, and you don't even have the time and you don't allow yourself even to sit down and ask, what are the possible solutions? What is the path that I need to take to get to where I want? When you are operating in such a place, you are so dissatisfied within you. There are so many unanswered questions inside you. Do you know what? You deny yourself the power to get out of that bad situation. That's what I believe.
Okay. Sawa. I'm with you up to that point, word for word. You do not want, for conversation's sake,
Yes.
a cheap Toyota.
A cheap-
Umeambia Mungu mimi siingi ndani ya mkebe. Ndio. Na sasa, now you said like I can afford this, right? This is what I can afford. But then, no, this is the other one I want. How do you balance between, yes, of course, I make a mental note of you need to work for it, right? But what does the concept of living beyond your means mean in this context?
Now, living beyond your means is a very dangerous principle to use in life. It should never be confused with being ambitious and desiring and liking the good things in life. When you desire and you want to live big, please know there is work that needs to be put into it. Please know that there is a process and it is good to respect the processes. What makes many of us, it's not only the young, even the old, we are now falling into that trap that we want to show off, even when we know in the deep of your deep, that thing is not working for you. You know, this famous says that where they say, fake it until you make it. Honestly?
See, that's faith. The Lord will catch up with you on the way.
No,
Yes.
Let's start the other way around. Let's start by believing and agreeing that there is nothing that is free. You need to work for it and trust the journey, trust the process, because when you do that, you lay such a solid foundation, such that in years to come, when the storms rage, because sometimes they do, when you have a strong foundation, your house will stand. But if it was faking it, if it was pretending to wear a suit and you have a nice suit.
That's an example. Thank you. Let me say.
You get. There is always a place where you feel comfortable, and not I'm saying you feel comfortable, but you don't crucify the ambition in you, the passion in you, the desire in you that will make you wake up every morning.
Interesting distinction. But then we go back again. Wow. You, with your story, like I know I want that. So I'll not settle for less, I'll go for that. Okay? Yes. This comes with a proper analyzing of the situation you're in and how to identify and explore opportunities.
Yes.
Right? What do you learn from this? Like, what has been your strategy to identify and explore opportunities?
Well, I once said, and I still say, and I still believe it. I think if it's not in this book, it will be in my other book. That for me, somehow, I see, in fact, one time I said, I see opportunities even on the streets. And the reason is, first of all, you teach your mind to be open. You teach your mind to see possibilities. I guess one of the reasons is because when you carry the spirit of entrepreneurship, note I say the spirit, not being an entrepreneur, because you can carry the spirit of entrepreneurship even when you are working somewhere. Because who is an entrepreneur? And I want to start there. An entrepreneur is that person who sees a need in the society, identifies a problem in the society, considers how they would bring a solution to that problem, therefore take a risk by bringing their resources, so that they can solve that problem to the society.
Yes.
That far, we are in agreement. So even when you are working somewhere, it is the same thing. If you're a finance manager for a certain company, are you able to identify a problem? Are you able to take the risk to solve the problem? Are you able to bring the resources, the ones you have and even the ones you don't have, to solve the problem? That is what the spirit of entrepreneurship is all about. And therefore, I dare say that everybody is born an entrepreneur. It's only that some of us awaken that spirit and go and do it outside. But wherever you are, you should be able to do and to demonstrate that. So, in all my businesses, and I'm sure you know that I have quite a number of those companies, the reason why I started them is never always the same reason, if you get what I mean. For example, I was a trained auditor and I worked as an auditor for 10 years. I rose up to the level of a salaried partner. I am a practicing auditor. I did that diligently and I earned good money when that was what I needed to do. But then there was something that was disturbing me. And let me tell you what was disturbing me. What was disturbing in me is, with again, due respect to the professionals, because there are many, is I used to wonder, now, if something goes wrong with my family, hii mambo yangu ya kichwa and I'm the only one carrying it, I can't force my children, for example, to become auditors. What am I building for my family? And at that time, and based on the wisdom and the knowledge and understanding that I had at that time, I felt that I wanted to be a business person, a general business person, running the ordinary businesses. And on the basis of that, and just because I was also not climbing the ladder from a certain level, I called it quits. And when I called it quits, then telecommunication came. So telecommunication for me, Safaricom business, I'm a dealer of Safari. I started as a dealer of Safaricom. Is what you'd say, being at the right place at the right time, and having been angered by certain things and feeling that I want to do something different. So that I never knew about what this was all about. But the entrepreneurship spirit in me was strong enough to tell me, take a risk. And I took a risk. And to the extent that I could understand it, I took a risk. When now I started taking this risk, on my desk, I used to have a circle like this. I would say, I want to be in telecommunication, I want to be in real estate, I want to be in finance. And the reason, for example, I wanted to be finance, let me tell you why. It was like I used to say, you cannot be a rich person and you're not in finance. I mean, the logic was even funny. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was a justification, and that brings me to the next question. You must identify the reason and the why of why you do what you do. So, ikaisha. So when I started doing my real estate, the reason I was doing it is because I had drawn a circle, and in my mind I had imagined at one time that that's what I wanted to be. Then come the restaurant business that I am in. That one, again, by default, because the person who was running where I am now was my tenant. Then one day he walks out. For 6 months, we had a court case, to a year, and I didn't know. So one day I said, why am I wasting this space? I can try this. And then I consulted a consultant who helped me now put the numbers and confirm that it's a viable business. What am I trying to tell you? There will be different reasons that will push you into getting into a certain business.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I know you asked me something before we started. What about these people who mtu anakaa tu anafikiria sasa aende matatu. The other day, I don't know where they are going, just because somebody else has done it. Yeah. Let me tell you, Dr. Kingori, the why of why you do what you do, yes, is the most important thing in your life. If you don't understand the why, then you'll be in problems and you get into the problems along the way. And most likely, you'll give up along the way. If your why is not strong enough to make you weather the storms in your business, then you give up along the way. I will say the what everybody can copy. What I'm doing, everybody can copy. The how is also very easy to copy. It's very easy. Even the when is very easy to copy. But the why is so personal to me. You can copy and copy if you want to copy, but you never understand the why. And the why is what makes me wake up every morning. The why is what drives me and allows me to try one more time despite the tribulations of an entrepreneur.
Thank you. That's very, very well broken down. One of my favorite businesses and one of the ones that you have been known for the longest time, telecommunication, right? You mentioned something, being at the right place at the right time. Take us through that. Being at the right time, the right place at the right time. Having been employed, did you have the backup of, as you say, I made good money, now I have something to risk? What does being at the right place at the right time mean?
Very interesting. And first of all, I'll answer the rest of that conversation. Having lots of money, or thinking you have money, or waiting until you have money so that you can venture into business. This is what I tell people. And I tell my testimony because this is my testimony. Maybe somebody else will tell you something else. But for me, I am one of those people who believe that money is not the most important thing, even in consideration when we are going into business. I'm not saying it's not important. And as you grow and become bigger, it becomes even more significant than even when you started. Now, when I left my employment life and all that, I went to an Esther Muchemi and company. Oh God, I don't even know what I was doing there. And the only thing I came out after 5 years investing my life there was my famous Mercedes. You remember I talked about Mercedes? I eventually got it. The journey was wrong, but I eventually got it. So it is possible. You can take as long as 5 years and eventually you drive the car of your dream. Then when I got out now into telecom, after I finished or set up my first shop in Koinange Street, Ginyo Towers then, I had only 50,000 shillings. And that's what I used to start my business.
I'm very interested in that part.
Just, and for real, bere na nyuma, hiyo tu ndio nilikuwa naye. So what was the secret of how you handle that? First of all, a lot of discipline in how you manage that little money that you have. That little capital that I have was taken care and protected the way a hen will protect its eggs and its chicks. Because I knew, nikipoteza hii, what next? So my journey became, thank God, I was dealing in products that are very fast moving. You buy them today, tomorrow they are not there. They are sold, they have become money. You know, airtime is as good as cash. So that was worked for me because the goods were moving very fast. So I could buy in the morning, sell during the day, collect my money, buy again tomorrow. The profits that I made, plow all the profits back into the business. And I can tell you, Kingori, for 10 years, I could not even afford to go for a holiday. And the time I went for a holiday, I was actually sponsored by Safaricom for being the best dealer of the year that year. And I was taken to South Africa. Before the, yes.
So this 50,000,
yes.
This 50,000 is for the rent.
Yeah.
It covers the rent. It covers the investment for the stock of what you're buying. the strategy of, like, let's say, for example, do you buy items worth 50,000 today, then you sell, you carry forward the profit margin tomorrow?
Exactly. Now, hey, thank God I'm an accountant, so I can understand easily your question. So this 50,000 Kenya shillings.
Yes.
What is the profit that comes out of that?
Yes.
The profit that comes out of the money that you put into the business is the money that you use to pay the overheads, you pay the salaries, you pay the rents, you pay all those expenses. But what you need to protect is your 50. However, as you trade and make more money, so you are generating more than what you started with.
Yes.
You remember what I said? You invest back to the profits. Once you meet your cost, invest back to the profits so that you can grow the business. The other source of my capital that helped me at that time so that I don't mislead the people is support from your creditor. Do you know creditors can support you? People who give you money, yes.
Now, wakuwe na interest.
No, I mean, if somebody gives me my phones, for argument's sake, because I used to sell phones on credit, I am not,
Oh,
they give me the phones on credit, and then I sell, I pay them their money, and I'm left with the profits. I did not use my money. I used their money, and creditors should be respected. They are very, very important people. People run away from creditors. When somebody has given you goods, you run away. Dr. Kengori, I can tell you today, with no fear of contradiction, the greatest currency that I have is integrity. It is what has saved me. It is what has helped me to become who I am. I had people, I won't name them, who towards as I demonstrated my growth, they could put in even as much as 10 million today. Tell me, Esther, go and buy airtime. We'll come for it in the evening.
10 million.
Oh, yes, I can tell you that. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
You start with 50,000,
Yes.
Start selling.
Yes.
First of all, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
This is where being at the right time, at the right place comes in, because you're among the first people
yes.
to do retail
yes.
on mobile phones and
yes.
airtime.
True. To be honest, it gave you an advantage. You get, It gave us an advantage. If today you tell me to start that business, today, as I know it, I won't touch it. Because, I mean, first of all, the market has been saturated, the principles have changed and all that. But yes, you are the first. Everybody was not understanding what this thing is. I will even tell you, even me, Safaricom, the head of sales, came to my office to discuss the relationship. These days, we go looking for them. Maybe you can't get them because you are among the first. And the advantage I had is that I had a shop when they were opening. So I'm sure you have had this where they call me to you number one. I'm not sure that it is so, but that's what people say.
Yes.
That's what people say. But it's only because I was there. And I took the opportunity, and not only did I take the opportunity, I ran with it. There were many people who were there. Why didn't they pick the opportunity?
You enter in the market where I believe it's around the time where a SIM card was going for 3,000.
2,500. Or did it get to 3? 2,500, I think. Near 3, let's go. I think it's 2,500.
Yeah, let's go with 2,500.
Yes.
Something that they give out for free now.
Yes, yes, we give for free. That's true.
Sawa. So you scale. So this repetition
yes.
of daily loading
yes.
up is how you. So how do you access credit the first time? Like the margins you've been making, you grow into credit, and how do you get to a place where someone can give you 10 million and then they come for it?
To be honest, I would say it's integrity and just trust. It's not everybody who can be trusted. It's not everybody who cannot give that. But I know there are people who did that for me.
And
I also tell you that. I was the first dealer who was given credit by Safaricom. In fact, it was so much money that people were advising me if I can't default. But how do I do that? I can't. Imagine if I did that, where would I be today?
I agree.
Uh-huh.
That's a very strong point.
Yes.
But then you get to a place, I'm now trying to wrap my head around, you have a shop on Koinange Street. Is your faith, yes, you had. Is your faith invested in, you will have enough people walking into your shop to make sure you sell enough to cover your needs?
There is, I'm wondering which faith you're talking about now.
As in, let's say for example, you have a shop, right?
Yes, right.
You need to sell
Yes.
50,000
Yes.
at that time. Let's say
Yes.
for example,
Yes.
you need to sell and probably have a margin of 10,000
Right.
today, right? You are sure that you'll have enough people walking in and buying as per your targets.
Yes.
Do you have bad days, or do you hit the target because you landed in the right business in terms of needs of people?
There are days that are bad, yes, for a business person. But this is what I will say. If if my daughter was here, she would tell you our business has started by hope and prayer. But it's much deeper than that.
Okay.
Because if you don't have hope, you have no business starting anything. If you don't believe in the depths of your heart that something is gonna be successful, why would you want to start it? That's what gives you energy. I mean, you can't start thinking that you are gonna fail. No. That's not a good mindset. You start believing and thinking and committing yourself to that it can work, and it will work, and it will work, and it will work. Oftentimes I'm asked by journalists, especially when we had newsprint, and I used to do a lot of that. Do you have an alternative B when you are doing this? Why would I have an alternative B? For me, and I know people you have, some people you say, why do you put your eggs in one basket and all that? You know,
Good point, actually.
you get what I mean. But for me, it is when I focus on something,
Yes.
I will put my everything into it. I'll put my time, I'll put my resources, I'll put my energy, I'll pull everything that I can pull to make it a success. Do I fail? At times, yes, I do. But this is what I will also say and agree. When I fail, I'll be humble enough to say, I gave it my very best, but it has not worked. But do you know what we say in Give Me My Mountain? GMM, as we call it. When an idea fails, it is the idea that has failed. It is not me who has failed. And because of that, I have the confidence to tell the idea, you are the one who failed. Me, I have not failed. I'm not a failure because God does not create failures. Failures are creation of man. It's not God who created failures. You think God can create you and put you on this world and make you a failure and call you a failure, and the way he is proud of his creation. But over time, even when we come into this earth, people start speaking to you about failure. Probably some people are caught by their mothers' failures or their dads. They tell you, well, kichwa maji, I don't know what. And you start believing that's who you are. That's not who you are. You are meant to succeed. And that's why you need, even when an idea fails, pull yourself out. Don't give up. Pull yourself up and say that failure is only a stepping stone to your next success. Are we together?
Okay.
Isn't it?
Okay.
So, what did you ask me?
Yes, the idea, you've explained it very well.
Right.
You've explained it very well. Now, we come from, as in the place where you start a business,
Yes.
The timing, you're very sure that you will sell, where you have bad days, like cumulatively. When you say, for example, do you have the right image of scaling? Like, I'm starting with 50, right? I've left a job that gives me more than that, okay? And in this book, there's a place you write that you cannot, what you've just said, you cannot be on a job and then you're starting a business on side hustle.
Oh, the side hustle, that controversial subject. of side hustles.
You cannot run a business as a side hustle.
I don't believe in it. And when I talked about side hustles, I didn't know how engraved it was in Kenyans' minds. And in fact, when I started releasing it, I had to tell my people, hey, we need to go back to the drawing board and try to understand these side hustles because we were getting serious pushback. Why would we not endorse side hustles? I looked at it, believe you me, I still believe the same. And this is why I will explain. Side hustles deny you the opportunity of being your very best. And I want you to study all the great CEOs in this country and see and confirm with me, you cannot be great and get to certain level if you are not putting your everything, you are all in the assignment you have been given. You have only 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 everything. We have only 24 hours in a day. So you either put the 24 hours in one that becomes a success, or divide and they become all get to a sub-level of some sort. So you get a matatu here, you get a saloon here, you get another one here, and probably, and I think this is what most likely will happen, if you add all the returns they bring, then it is probably lower than if you had focused on one. So I believe you should focus on one, get the results, and whatever the results that now you get, they will allow you, because I want you to ask, because I hear you ask me. I have this many companies or many businesses that I run, and I'm sure you want to ask me, are those side hustles?
Yes.
Because there are many, isn't it? Are they side hustles? Yes. But I told you, and I want to repeat again, for the first 10 years, I ran only one business. 10 years, I ran one business. Why did I run one business? Because, number one, my financial capability could not allow me to run very many businesses at the same time. I was the accountant, I was the salesperson, I was the cleaner, I was everything in that one shop. Now, if I opened another one there, how now do I manage? But today, I am able to manage because the whole of these businesses do not rely on me alone. I have people, I have a great team. Every of my business is managed by a business leader that is competent, that is able to run the business. In fact, now I sit in what they call the CEO's office, where people report to me, where people give me reports, where people make money, and you manage the resources.
Okay. But didn't someone argue that, yes, you have people competent enough to run those different businesses at the level where someone can afford one matatu, one salon, and one supermarket, nitangwa general store, one, alafu they are bringing money, they are just playing at a certain level, the base level of where you are.
Let me ask, what is the competencies of what you get what I mean? Yet what is the competencies level of those people? Are you able to manage them so that you can compensate for the limitations that they have?
Yes.
You get and for me, I have found it is a very important something. If you use, for example, a manager that is not competent, you will struggle a lot. And their places have struggled a lot, by the way, because it is then meaning I have to put in a lot of my hours, also my time, but I have only 24 hours, so I can't. So I prefer working with people who will run the business as if it is their business. In fact, this is what I tell my people, and I'm sure they watch your show. I will tell the people, I am the investor. You are the owners of the business. And that is the mindset I like cultivating on my staff. I tell them oftentimes, I don't know how to teach people to be employees. I know to teach people how to become entrepreneurs. Hence, what we say, one of our values is the spirit of entrepreneurship.
And that's why you say in the book that someone cannot be with you for 2 years without their life changing.
Do you know how heavy that responsibility is? And yes, it is true. By the time I am saying that, it's a heavy responsibility that you put on your shoulders.
Okay.
And I sincerely believe it. If you are with me and you are working with me, and I'm not impacting your life positively,
You fire me.
no, there's something wrong. Yes, I'll fire you. And yes, we do a lot of
Why
that.
are you firing me and you are the one who has failed to inspire me?
Therefore, yes, and I agree with you to a certain extent. Therefore, this is what I say. If I'm working with you and I'm not impacting you, then there is a problem. And we need to call each ourselves and each other for a meeting and try and understand why is it not making sense.
Okay.
You get?
Okay.
And once your goals and my goals are not aligned, what are we doing together? It's as simple as that.
Very well put.
Yes.
Then would you say you are partly a beneficiary of risk-free credit in this sense?
Yes.
There's a
Free
difference.
credit.
Risk-free.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
There's a difference between someone giving you 10 million shillings and they want 12 million back versus someone giving you 10 million worth of funds who sell, give me my 10 million, keep the profit.
It is very, 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 very different. One is not... One is what I call work that is not work. Interesting.
There's a difference, right?
There is a big difference.
Okay.
There is a big difference. And I'm hoping you are not talking of the Shiloh King business.
No.
Yes.
I think that's different. That's in fact, when you get to microfinance, that's different.
Yes.
I'm talking about your scaling, your opportunities for scaling. You worked hard, you built the profile of integrity, right? And you mentioned that you had people who trusted you, who could give you 10 million shillings, go do business with this. You had, say, Safaricom, for example, trusting you to say, sell this amount of funds, take your money, give us our money, take your profit. There's a very big difference between that and someone who wants to invest in that business for conversation's sake, and then they want to borrow money from a bank, go buy the funds, sell the funds so that they can pay back the money.
No, let me tell you, it is a combination. It is a combination. I'll tell you, today, if you asked me what has contributed to my, allow me to use this with humility, financial success for purposes of this conversation. I had my own capital here and there.
Yes.
As little as it was my capital. I traded with this capital and I made money out of it and I invested it and allowed my business to grow.
Yes.
I got these suppliers, we call them, that would supply me with the goods, with the funds, and they still do even today because it's a good practice in business. And they still supply goods for me on credit, give me that a days of credit. I work with the money, with their goods, and when the time comes, I will pay them back, and they don't charge me any interest. That's why I told you creditors are very important people. Then there is this other person. That's what I told you. It's a very unique something. Today, don't go giving money out there. No. You might give money and they might wipe you out. But yes, I was just giving us an example that when you reach a level where your integrity can also be trusted. You can have friends running you. These days people say that ukipatiwa pesa na mtu uisahau, ukipatia mtu pesa uisahau, because the possibility of people returning your money, we have become a culture, a people that will borrow but they will not pay. Mtu anakwambia nipatie, give me 1,000 shillings, I will return to you tomorrow. No, they will never return. It's true.
Hey, that was personal.
By the way, Dr. Kengori, it's the same principle. When you are not giving back that little money, how will I trust you to give me? What makes me believe? So tomorrow, I gave you 200 shillings, for example. I gave you 500,000 shillings, 5,000 shillings, and you did not give me back. And the agreement with you was you give me back. Then you come asking for 100,000. You think I'll give you? I will not give you, because over time you have proved you cannot be trusted. And people think, I was telling some people, some girls in my office, and I was telling them, there are some small things you think and take for granted. But remember, they built up to something else. Look, so that's one. There were people who gave me credit, there are people who didn't. Then, eventually, today I can tell you that my banks, I would say banks, but there were time it was a bank, are my key supporters today. Oh yes, I borrow. Why lie to you? I do. But they give me money because I have proved I'm worth to be given. When I first started, no bank would look at me and give me money. My first loan came, I think, after 2 years, and it was an overdraft of 800,000 Kenya shillings. I still respect today the bank that gave me that money, because they were the first people who showed faith in me. Today, they look at my cash flow, they look at what the securities that I have and all that. But imagine that one.
Okay.
In fact, we are still friends with that bank manager who gave me that money, because there's a place for royalty also in business. There's also being grateful and being thankful when people help you. And I am trying to say that capital financing or financing of businesses is a complicated thing. And what I would rather say is start where you are and where you can see. And there is something that you said at the beginning, and I think we have not pursued it, that where you must see the end before you start. That is not totally correct from where I sit. This is what I believe in. To the extent that you can understand it, put your feet in.
To the extent that
you can understand. If I can see my vision up to here, I will push myself up to here, because by the time I get there, my eyesight will allow me to go and see beyond here. You remember the famous scripture that says about Abraham, where he was told, to the extent, to the far that you can see, that is what I give you. So that's what I believe in. To the far I can see, I will pursue. To the far that I can see, I'll follow. There, I'll see after I get there.
You cross a bridge when you get there.
Thank you. You cross a bridge when you get.
Nice.
Yes.
But then, for example, in terms of what we call financial freedom, right? Is there a place you get that you can say, I'll use my money? Because you mentioned, yes, you borrow. With the years of experience you have, isn't freedom using your money, getting to a place here, oh, I don't need the other person's money, yes, I've grown to a certain level, or we keep on?
The secret is this, Dr. Kengori.
Yes.
Is getting the discipline to manage your finances. This is what I believe. Many successful people, if not all of them,
Mm-hmm.
know the power of borrowing to create wealth. In fact, I read somewhere
Mm-hmm.
that the poor save their money in the banks and the rich borrow the money. If you study all the successful people, you will find their advantages. And it's a complicated topic. I hope I won't mislead anybody.
I'm following. And
Yeah,
I believe our
exactly.
audience is too.
Exactly. It's a there is a place for borrowing. And as long as you do not invest, you do not mismatch, let me use that word, what you are borrowing is. For example, people make a mistake of borrowing to buy a land in Laikipia, where there is no revenue whatsoever that is coming from that.
But in 20 years.
Now, by the time you are in the 20 years, you have been auctioned because
Yes.
if your cash flows, for whatever reason, are not enough and cannot manage the repayment of that loan, then for sure, you'll be auctioned. Let me share my simple way of the way I do it.
Mm-hmm.
If I borrow to build this property, which I have done,
Yes.
my head, I will calculate, not head literally, but it starts from the head,
Yes, yes, yes.
that if I borrow this, I might even ask a grace period, depending on what I'm doing from my banks, and tell them this building that I'm building will get finished in 2 years down the line. So allow me to hold the repayment, because after the 2 years, then I'll rent out the building, and then I have income, which then I can use to repay the loan.
And banks can actually have a conversation
Oh, yes.
to keep their money for 2 years.
Oh, yes. Now, interesting conversation that you have brought in. People have such a serious fear of banks. They are not that bad after all. This afternoon, I had my bank managers in my office, and we are having conversations. And we are having deep conversations, because I have allowed them to be my partners. We come at the beginning of the year and agree. They will ask me, what are you planning to do this year? Can you imagine? Many people don't think that they will do that.
But no bank would look at you when you were starting.
Now, hapo tuko na shida kidogo.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I said so. But therefore, start where you are able to. With the time, and this is what I want to encourage people, with the time, those who are not thinking, and I'm telling you, this is one of the conversations I had this morning. And I'm even challenging the banks today, because sometimes they will ask for security for argument's sake. Most women, for example, don't have security because the security belongs to somebody else. The young people today, if you ask them for security, maybe they don't have any security because they don't owe anybody in anything. And in my mind, I actually think, and actually I'm one of those people who recommend that we should be looking for much more than just the security. I'm not saying the security is bad. For example, cash flows. If you study my business for 1 year, you can actually tell, unless I am something crazy.
Yes.
If I'm honest in my business,
yes.
if I've done it for 3 years, surely if I'm doing, let's say, 10 million in, allow me to use such a figure, to use 10 million in a month or so, and I'm saving 3 million, surely you can't see.
I see. I see where this
Not
is coming
you.
from.
Sure, I'm asking the
partner. Yeah. And I think the point comes here is,
yes,
like you've been in the Kenyan business environment for a very long time.
Yes.
Right? This brings us to the concept of cash flow is very important.
Very.
Yes, right?
Very.
Does the Kenya business environment allow for consistent cash flows? Right? Because that's very important for you to access credit to unlock the next level of scaling. Does the Kenya business environment allow that? How practical is the concept of take money, invest, get a profit, pay your people, pay the government, remain with something, multiply? How practical is that?
I would say, let me first of all start by saying this. Poor cash flows is what kills businesses, not profitability.
Okay.
Yeah.
Purity Wakahi, you told us that.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yes.
this is a confirmation. It's cash flows that kill businesses and not profitability. I also add something else. Of course, we are not saying that you continue forever without profitability. A business that doesn't grow will die. That is true. So the first lesson that business people should learn is how to manage the cash flows. And the cash flows, managing the cash flows, is basically in and out. It's not as complicated. Of course, if you are just a layman, and perhaps because I am an accountant, that's why it sounds easy. It may sound very complicated if you're just a layman. That's why I also say that business people should seek and look for services of professional people. Don't believe that you can be the accountant, be the lawyer, be everything. There is a place of seeking professional help if you want to grow in your business.
Yes.
And cash flow does not necessarily mean the day-to-day money that is coming in, if you get what I mean. To me, I think cash flows is when you understand the patterns of the inflows and outflows in your business and then manage that so that your business responds to that and every relationship that you had responds to that. Do you remember what I told you? That you can, during the building time, talk to the bank and tell them, allow me not to pay your loan for 6 months because the question you are dealing for is cash flow. There is no money flowing in. When I am constructing, the money is just going out. So if I start paying you, you are putting an additional burden on a business that is already only able to release outflows, and because the inflows are going into the outflows and there is no extra outflow that I can save to give you, Mr. Bank.
So you have to know where you are and you have to know where you are putting your money in. And this concept of grace period is buying time for that business to stand. And I think on this platform, we've always discussed that Kenya is a very tough business environment because there is no patient capital. What you've described, that this building will take 2 years to complete. Let me complete it first, then we talk. That's patient capital.
Yes.
But for you to access that, it's also a conversation of, again, relationships. Now.
Oh, you touched a very interesting conversation. Relationships is so important. I was about to say is everything, and I realized maybe I'm misusing the word everything, but it is so, so important. Yes. Relationship with your staff, and your employer, relationship with your customers, relationship with your supplier, relationships with your bank, relationship with county government, relationship with that famous person we don't like talking about called KRA. All those are very important. And you can't operate by refusing to acknowledge how important those relationships with the government. Because when we study about the risks of business, those are some of the risks. Today, they come and put a new law, a new regulation. Where does that leave me, honestly? All of a sudden, It may mean I'm no longer in business because they have said I need to pay, for example, capital gain. I'm just using as an example. And so what happens after that?
Yes.
Uncertain environment. Yes, relationships are very important. That's what I was trying to say.
In this case, there is no good faith. Like, say, for example, if someone comes, like, let's say, you've done nothing wrong, okay? Just that, let's say, you had a certain opinion, okay? And then in your business, someone comes and hits you with a bill, let's say, for example, from KRA. Isn't that blackmail?
I wouldn't want... Why?
This is just an example.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yes.
I know what you mean, and you know, that relationship is usually very scary for most people.
Yes.
So one of the things that I recommend, and I highly recommend, is first of all, when a law is raw, it's raw.
Okay.
The fight should be before the law becomes a law.
Okay.
When it becomes law, it is law.
It is something else.
Therefore,
yes.
Keep your books, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to yourself what belongs to you.
Okay.
Of course, one of the problems that we face is when the playing field is not level. And we experience that a lot. When you, who is paying the taxes, are competing with somebody who is not, for argument's sake.
Yes.
That becomes very tough, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
And I think some of the changes we should be recommending and asking for is such changes. So that even the burden is spread a lot to many more people. Evenly, exactly. Because when you are going back to the same people, then the burden can actually kill the businesses.
Okay. There's something you say in this book. I have very interesting points I've noted from here. I'm a firm believer. Before I say you're a firm believer, you say that you have to hope and pray, right? But then, hapa kuna kitu ya, I'm a firm believer that things don't just happen. They are orchestrated. I'm convinced that there are no coincidences in life. Where is the difference between this making things happen versus praying, right? And doing things hoping they will happen the way you want versus making things happen the way you set them up to happen.
Let me even make it more complicated for you. Hope is not a winning strategy.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm sure you know I sit in boardrooms and having serious conversation with my people, either directly or where I am an external person, director, etc. And I have reached a place where I'll tell you, Dr. Kingori, I even tell people, I don't want to hear that word. We are hoping. We are hoping. We are hoping. That is not the same as the hope in you is the one that motivates you, encourages you, pushes you to make that thing happen.
Yes.
Not the one you are saying, I am hoping. Now, hoping what? That cannot help you. And then you waste a whole month saying, I was hoping tomorrow. I was hoping tomorrow. I was hoping tomorrow. What I want to see is this. What is the action? Yes, I know at the end of the month, I want 2 million sales from you. Don't come and tell me, I'm hoping I'll get 2 million. Come and tell me, yes, we are expecting, maybe I'm playing around with words, with 2 million. This is the action we are taking every day. Therefore, I do believe things are made to happen. They don't just happen. You just don't sit here and think that things are going to happen. The thing that will make a thing come out of your diary today is because you actioned it and make it happen. If you don't action it, it will remain in your diary 2024 up to 2028, and it will still be there.
then we tie that to something very powerful I saw in this book. I have very interesting notes, but I think I'll just skip to that directly. Finally, I opened it. Asking is a principle every prosperous person applies in one way or another.
Yes.
Right?
We call it, and I'm sure I've dedicated a whole chapter, if I'm not wrong,
about asking.
Is the power in asking.
Teach us something about asking.
The power in asking.
To ask.
Ask. Just ask. Yeah? And where do we start? First of all, ask yourself. Yeah? Ask yourself. Jiulize maswali.
Yes.
Once you ask yourself those questions, of course, the first ask is that you should agree with your God, whoever you perceive him to be, what your purpose in life is, what your destiny is, what your inheritance is. Because until you confirm your purpose, then you start meandering in life and getting to nowhere. So come back to the power of asking. This is what I say.
You can even throw in an example. If you
ask,
yes,
Kengoni, I'm giving you these answers. You are getting this, what you are getting out of me, because you are asking. Okay. I am responding to your ask. If you don't ask, and when you find me getting lost, you are coming back and asking, so that you can guide me to the answer. Yes. Because unless you ask, there is no answer.
Unless you ask, there is no answer.
It will come from where you have not asked. So you first of all ask.
You don't assume
yes,
that the other person knows. You don't assume.
Yeah, kwanza you have made it even worse. You don't assume. Yes. Why are you assuming? Ask. By the way, if you allow me to talk about that, it annoys me. Because let me tell you why. And please make sure I come back to the ask. Because I am seated here with you. You are imagining what I'm thinking. Why are you imagining? See, I'm here.
Yes.
Ask me, not you. Even in relationships, by the way. Yes. People are struggling with their wives and husbands in the house. They are not talking to each other because you are imagining your wife is annoyed of you. You are thinking, she is annoyed of me because I came right at night, I don't know what time. Yes. Why don't you just ask why she's annoyed? Ask and get an answer. Yes. So when you come to asking, even in business, when you ask, you increase, and this is the most important thing, you increase the probability of getting a yes.
You increase the probability.
Yes. And if you get a no, because sometimes people fear to ask because they don't want to get a no. If you get a no, what's the worst that can happen? You remain at no. Are you worse off or better off? It's still a no.
But at least you have a way forward.
But when you are, exactly, thank you. At least you have known it's a no, and you can now start strategizing and on what next. And you can also get a yes. And if you get a yes, you celebrate because that's what you are searching for. So in your workplace, and I tell people this way, even as I talk to my girls, don't sit back there thinking that I'm imagining all the time about promoting you and giving a salary increase.
There's nothing like huyu amejitolea sana. Wacha nimchape.
Eventually it may come, but come and talk. Say, Madam, this is what I have been here for 2 years. This is what my results are. I think I need that promotion. Or what? Do you know how many people miss a promotion just because they never spoke about the vacancy and told the employer that I can actually fit in this. Don't recruit a new finance manager because I can now deliver on that. Power of asking. Power of asking. It makes all the difference.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that is one of the things that many people have been unable to, because one of the reasons is fear. You fear rejection. You fear getting a no. So one of the things that we need to overcome is exactly that, the fear of asking.
You need to overcome the fear
Of asking.
The worst case scenario
Yes.
is you will get a no.
That's the worst. And you remain there anyway.
And how does this apply when it comes to how we speak to God? Yes, asking. Right? Does this mean that sometimes God ignores us because of how we asked?
You know, Kingori, spiritually that is very deep. And at times,
yes,
let me put it this way. Let me answer you this, because even the Bible says, you have not because you don't ask.
You have not because you don't ask.
Exactly.
You are where you are because you have chosen to be there.
Yes, you have not. You don't have because you don't ask. What does that tell me? That God respects the principle of asking. And you know what, Dr. Kengori? There are principles which work, whether you are Christian or you are not. Then not people cheat you that some things just work because you pray God. Yeah. There are principles that work, whether you pray or you don't pray. Whether you believe in God, and my pastor, please forgive me wherever you are, because this is the truth.
Yes. Yes.
You know, let me give you an example. The principle of giving. It works. You get?
Yes.
But people have misused it. And let's not go there. I'm sure you know where I'm coming from. I'm going from. But it works because it's a principle.
Yes.
Work hard is a principle. It's a principle. You run out away from it, and poverty will follow you. It's a principle. You get?
Yes.
So,
do we also have, is there also a line between how you ask, not what you ask? In this sense, there's asking and there's begging.
in the deep sense of that, I'm avoiding it because I want to remain not a pastor.
Okay.
Yes.
I understand.
But I need to explain something. At times, or all the time, let me say that, the motive of your heart is very important. Even when you ask, the motive of your heart is very important. If your motive is to destroy, do you think God will give you?
If your motive is to destroy. Okay, I get the point.
You get? There are things which are not aligned to the will of God, for example. So you ask and you not get it.
To summarize,
why I'm saying that is because you are bringing prayer a little bit.
No, I understand. If I'm getting you correctly, ile ya Mungu akinipea pesa, Nairobi itanitambua. Nairobi itanitambua. People will know who I am. That's what you mean by the motive of the asking. Sometimes God is keeping you poor to protect you.
Let's put it this way, Dr. Kongori.
Yes.
It is very good and it helps.
Yes.
When the motive of what you are doing all the time
yes.
is a light motive to humanity.
Okay.
Even us, it must be right to God.
Okay.
And before it is right to humanity, it must always be right also to you. Okay. In the secret of your secret, can you face me today, tomorrow? Because what you did to me, or you intended or premeditated, is the right thing.
Okay.
And I strongly believe there is today a place of humanity. There is today a place of humanness. Because we have been driven by so much of other things that we have forgotten that human beings are human beings. Today, there is a man who came to my office, all the way from the village. To be honest, I wouldn't have remembered him even now, I don't think. But the way he was, how he got an appointment in my diary, he called my PA, he said, I'm so-and-so from my village. No, from my village. The reason why I was meeting him as a person who comes from my village.
Yes.
And this is what he told me when he came in. He said, we were talking about you. And we said, how different you are that you can allow us in your space. I almost shed tears. And he continued to give me examples of people, some that I know, and the way they mistreated them. And I looked at him and I told him, if you cut my heart here, there'll be red blood out of it. If I take his heart and cut him, there'll be red blood out of it. If I cut the heart of that boy, that woman in the street, there'll be blood out of them. Very simply, I'm saying, he who created gave us and brought us as equal human beings with his own image, so we are told. It is the things that we then acquire after. It is the values that we then allow to follow us and to dictate our lives. The materialism, probably because you became more educated than I am. That's what brings what I'll call now superficial differences.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, this is what people you say, you still go to a 6x6. At that point, who am I? And therefore, it is always good to remember, even as when you become so successful, and it's good to be successful, I believe in success, I believe in prosperity. Even when you become so powerful, and I believe in power.
Yes.
But at the end of the day,
what
is the end game? Humanity is very important.
Very nice. Something before we close.
Yes.
There's something you say, I was very interested in this. In fact, just two things, two very little things. One, the first million you will struggle to make.
Yes.
But your first 10 million, people will help you to make. What does that mean?
Let me tell you what it means. Huh? You saw it in the book, or
Yes,
I see it
it's
somewhere
in the book.
else in an interview?
It's in the book.
The first 1 million, you make it on your own. I'll tell you what that means. But the next 10 million, people will help you. Remember the story I gave you at the very beginning?
Yes.
I was a watchman, so to speak. I was a cleaner. My resources were so limited. So I had to put every effort to make that 1 million. But when you begin to multiply that 1 million, you no longer can make it on your own, you will need help. And therefore, the first 1 million, you struggle to make it. But when you are going into your other millions, there will be people who will be there. There will be the creditors, there will be your banks, there will be your workers, there will be such a wide ecosystem that will then allow you to make the next 10 million and the many millions. Look at the richest man in the world.
Yes.
He's no longer making the million by himself. In fact, probably he's just seated somewhere and money is just working for him. But the first 1 million, I can tell you, he put in the time, he put in the sweat. That's what it all means from where I sit.
So it means that there are levels of money you will never make alone.
I dare say so, if, you know the topic now you are introducing? Yeah, so if what you are making is based on, can I say, the principle of work?
The principle of work.
The principle of work. There is work that is not work, and I'll let you understand what that means. Work that is not work is work, for example, that is not transformational. It's work that does not help anybody. It's only your own. It's only your work. Eh?
Yes.
For example, allow me to say this because this is a personal opinion and I hold it very strongly. If your prosperity is based on corruption, I will recognize you have lots of money, and that's good, you have lots of money. But from where I sit, it is not a success that I will celebrate or will make me have sleepless nights. And that is one of the things we need to correct in this nation for the sake of the new generation.
Yes.
That we need to give them confidence and give them assurance that there is a place of coming from little and making it, and the principle of little by little. Because I always imagine, and I'm glad, Dr. Kingori, you are bringing some people who have evidence of what they have done. Do you know there are people I wonder and I ask myself, if their children would ask them, they see them in big houses, they've seen them driving big cars, they've seen them riding heavy jets, and it's good to have those jets if you can. I'm not against that. But if your daughter, your son, cannot put a finger on what you do, you are not only doing a disservice to your children, but you are also doing a disservice to the young generation in this country.
Wadao, this book, Give Me My Mountain, you need to grab yourself a copy because so much of equally powerful statements are in this book. This was one of the best entrepreneurial books I've read, and I'm not saying that because you're here.
Thank you.
I think it details the step-by-step journey. And I was very interested in this conversation on principle that I myself have been walking on the edge of the truth about business. Take money, do this, and then make money. You've explained it very well, and I believe for the people who've been following your journey, what you said is verifiable as part of the journey. Kabisa, you can grab a copy. Thank you, Nuria, by the way, for recommending this book. And thank you, Purity Kimodo Wakahio, for setting this up. Very much appreciated. She set this up a while back. And I'm glad this is happening. And we do appreciate that you set your time to come share your knowledge with us. And there's also one more thing. You are among the first people to hold, please allow me to ask you this, to hold shares in one of the biggest telecommunication companies in Kenya, Safaricom, probably the largest shareholder. Then the question is, I was debating with a friend of mine, someone I consult with. In fact, we have an exchange mentorship system together, which means that he was also among the first people to buy shares. And then he was like, we debate on when is the best time, on when is the right time to hold, on what is the right time to sell. Are you able to speak to the idea of holding and liquidity? And I think that was somewhere in the book. I don't remember the exact thing on liquidity and failure, but what is the strategy for holding or letting go? Or there's a place you reach and it doesn't matter?
Let me put it this way. My first 1 million, I got it through selling shares.
Oh, through selling shares?
Yes. When I was still working. What I did with that, I don't know, because it never became part of what I am today. What I did with it, honestly, I cannot tell you, but that's what it was. By then, in my own small way, and there's another topic I had given a studying instruction to my broker of 10,000 or 12,000 shillings every month. I could set aside 10,000 shillings, 12,000 shillings to buy shares. And I did that for many years. For many years. So when I made the money, it was a capital gain. You know, I bought them at 2 shillings for argument's sake.
Yes.
I sold them at 50 shillings, and that's what the money that I made.
Yes.
Today, I still own shares here and there. What I don't do today, and it's for a personal reason, not that it is what you should do, I don't often trade my shares anymore. I am today in my business and in my life, I take a long time view. There are times I've seen my shares go to 42 shillings and then they come down to 12 shillings or to 8 shillings.
Yes.
But I don't panic because I have a long-term view. And the long-term view would be that I know one time it will go up there. There are some which now I'm almost selling at a loss so that I can I can trade with that money.
Yeah.
There is also the why of the reason why you bought them. For example, some of those shares give us very good dividends. In fact, there is a share that I live on, just on dividends alone. So there'll be reasons why you want to trade. And that's why I will say, if you want to start trading, there is nothing really wrong in that, but also get a professional help in the way you do it. And truly, you can make money by doing that. The same thing, let me introduce this, the same way of buying the rod.
Yes.
I know I am known about rod. I know I am known about that. But do you know, Dr. Kingori, some of those rods, I bought them more than probably 20 years ago.
Yes.
I was telling somebody there is a lad I bought for 30,000 shillings. Today, it is not less than 20 M. Real.
Yes.
So what you
Yes.
see the value today,
Yes.
which people talk about, it is what has been built over years. It is not as something I woke up and for me, that is the truth. It is, we have built it over time. We have trusted the process. We have sacrificed. Can I shock you? In my basket, there is nothing free. If you pick anything, I'll tell you, Dr. Kengori, how I got it. Some years back,
Yes.
one of the universities were doing a study, so they shared with me. And they wanted to know how people make money. So they wanted to do a study of how people make money in this country.
Yes.
And they picked, I don't know whether it's a Tarado, some people who are perceived as wealthy, prosperity, or whatever it is. Remember, there's a difference between wealth and cash. And this is what they told me. When they reached the question on how they made the money, there are very few people who are prepared to answer that question. You begin to understand the problem we have then. Who are the role models? Who are people looking up to? And are they representing the real thing? Hence why people say, where we started and you told me, people believe that doing business is a myth. There is no wealth that can be created by doing genuine business. And I want to confirm to your audience, Yes, there is. It may take a little longer. It may involve a little sacrifice, but yes, it is possible.
Thank you for confirming that. You also, in the book, you write that you don't like counting money.
Interesting.
You don't like counting money. Oh, I have this much. Is that a principle or is something you picked up on the way?
It is something, let me tell you the reason behind, then you understand.
Okay.
We don't, or I don't, allow money to control me. I like to control money. They say the love of money is the beginning of all evil. Note, they say the love of money, not money. It is the love of money. So you need to guard yourself from the love of money, because if you love money, it definitely will become a source of many of your evils. There are people who will kill because of money, because they have reached a level where the money drives them. Money is just a tool to make you do what you must do. And what you must do, some of them be to yourself, others to your family, to the society.
Yes.
But it's just a tool.
Yes.
It is as good as it helps you being a modern day currency, because you can't transact without the currency. So it reached a level where I told myself, as evidence and as a way of reminding me myself, that I should never love money to the extent it becomes the most important things in my life. I don't want to count money. I don't want to tell it you are so important. I don't want to communicate with you that you control my life. So for me, it's symbolic.
Okay.
And it became so symbolic that it is real for me. Dr. Kingori, you come and put 100,000 in my pocket, on my table. My first reaction is not that I want to count money. Probably I'll ask you, have you counted the money? Yes, it came from the bank. Most likely I'll give it to the bank, to my PA, go and bank that money. Well, I guess at the end of the day, they will confirm to me whether it was 100,000 or it wasn't 100,000. So for me, it is a way of reminding me, it's symbolic, that I must never treat money as the most important thing in my life. Yet, I chase money crazy because that's why I'm in business.
Manze,
Yeah.
This has been a very interesting conversation. I will hold myself back from asking any other question, because this conversation can go on and on.
That's true.
And I again thank you very much for sharing your knowledge with us. Please grab a copy of this book, Nuria Store. I know that it's available in other bookshops too.
Yes, it's available in Textbook Center. I know the other.
Yes. But Nuria, I know Nuria delivers everywhere in the country, and they are very active across all social media platforms. Give Me My Mountain by Dr. Esther Muchemi. Asante sana on behalf of our audience.
Thank you. Allow me to say thank you to those people who have believed in me.
Thank you.
To those people who have come on your show and they have recommended that you need to speak to me. To the Nuru, when you go to their bookshop, and I know they have recommended my book to very many people.
Yes.
To the young people who look up to me and believe in my conversation, I am humbled, I am honored.
Very good.
Allow me to tell you, to say thank you to you for giving me your platform to speak to your audience. I don't take it for granted. It humbles me, and I'm honored.
Thank you
so
very much. Asante pia.